Good evening, everybody, and welcome to our very first BCS Community Online Quiz. There's going to be lots of fun for you this evening, I hope, and also a chance to find out more about the charity that we're supporting this evening, Dorset Mind. There is a donation link in the information on the YouTube page. I will be showing it down the bottom of the screen here throughout tonight's quiz. So it'd be really fabulous if we could raise some money for Dorset Mind this evening, and we'll keep you updated with how that's going. Later on, I'll let you know a little bit more about the work that they do. Just going to give you a minute now to make sure you have got a pen and paper. It is really, really important you do not write your answers in the comments box. It's not first to the buzzer in this case. We'd like you to write down your answers and then we'll go through the rounds at various points and you can keep a tally of your own scores. So just going to give you 1 minute to grab a drink, get a pen and some paper and get settled in for a fabulous evening of entertainment. Hello and welcome back. We hope you're all settled and ready to go. So as I said, tonight we're going to be raising some money for Dorset Mind. Dorset Mind is a pioneering local charity that's been supporting local people here in Dorset with mental health challenges since 1946. They educate, they challenge the stigma against mental health conditions and inequality, and they promote recovery by empowering individuals to develop resistance. It's hugely important work at all times, but particularly at the moment when so many of us have had our lives changed from what we usually have come to expect. Dorset Mind doesn't just work with people who are in a real crisis point, but with lots of people like you and I who are just finding life a little bit tough at the moment. So it really is a fantastic charity, especially at this moment to support. There are over 30 of you watching this evening. It's going up all the time. And my maths now is going to be tricky. If you all donated £5, that would get us to £150. But it'd be a nice challenge. Could we go for 10? Because our target this evening is £300 for Dorset Mind. So once again, the link is in the biog just down here at the bottom of the screen. You can find it in the YouTube video, or easy enough, if you just go to the Just Giving website and put BCS into the search bar, it will be the top thing that comes up for you. So let's get on with the quiz. There are 10 rounds this evening. 7 rounds this evening, each with 10 questions. We should have had some baby photos emailed to you this afternoon. It's also been hopefully attached to your child's tutor team by their form tutor. It doesn't matter if you do not have this baby photo round at the moment. We are going to show the photos when we get to round 4, but we just thought that you might like to have them in advance because some of them are really tricky. So I'll give you a moment to try and find that document if you want to, attached to the week ahead. In addition, we would like you to see if you can play with friends and family. So maybe you know another family who is watching and you can play against each other and see who can get the most score, the biggest score. And once again, please do not write the answers in the comments. Each round is presented by a different teacher from BCS. And to start us off this evening with Science and Nature, it is, of course, Dr. Pumphrey.
Welcome to the Science and Nature round. Question 1. The term dinosaur was invented in 1841 by Sir Richard Owen. But what does the term literally mean? Question 1. The term dinosaur was invented in 1841 by Sir Richard Owen. But what does the term literally mean? Question 2. Which chemical element is the most abundant in the universe? Question 2. Which chemical element is the most abundant in the universe? Question 3. The person credited with the discovery of electricity conducted his first experiment in 1752 using a kite. Who was he? The person credited with the discovery of electricity conducted his first experiment in 1752 using a kite. Who was he? Question 4. Would you find stalactites on the floor or the ceiling of a cave? Question 4. Would you find stalactites on the floor or the ceiling of a cave? Question 5. What is unique about a male seahorse? Question 5. What is unique about a male seahorse? Question 6. Which chemist invented dynamite? Question 6. Which chemist invented dynamite? Question 7. What is the next number in this sequence? 0, 1, 1, 2, 3. Question 7. What is the next number in this sequence? 0, 1, 1, 2, 3. Question 8. In science, tribology is the study of what? Question 8. In science, tribology is the study of what? Question 9. Who famously said, God does not play dice with the universe? Question 9. Who famously said, God does not play dice with the universe? And question 10, the last question. The human adult skeleton is made up of how many bones? Question 10. The human adult skeleton is made up of how many bones? And that's the end of the science quiz.
Thank you very much, Dr. P, for that fab round. Even I, with my limited scientific knowledge, managed a few of those, I think. Though I might be slightly cheating because I do have the answers. We're going now from round 1 science and nature to completely the opposite end of the curriculum. A little bit of art, a little bit of technology for a Disney round. So there will hopefully be something for everybody in there. And that round is presented by me. So sorry, you can't escape me for too long. But just to let you know that we have already got over a quarter of our target. So thank you so much to the 5 people that have already donated. Please keep the donations coming. It's such an important cause and so very needed at this particular time. So as I said before, you missed it. Just here you can see the information. It's in the YouTube information, or you can just go to Just Giving and put BCS into the search bar. So moving on now then to round 2 and a bit of Disney. So now we come to the Disney round. I'm sure there'll be something in here for everybody, whether it's the classics that us older ones remember from our childhoods, or the new ones that have been playing, I'm sure, on loop in your homes over the last few weeks. Question number 1. What was the first full-length colour feature Disney film? What was the first full-length colour feature Disney film? Question number 2. Name the 3 Disney princesses whose names start with M. Name the 3 Disney princesses whose names start with M. And they do need to be official Disney princesses, and if you're a fan, you will know what that means. Question number 3. Which Disney composer also wrote the music for Little Shop of Horrors and Sister Act? Which Disney composer also wrote the music for Little Shop of Horrors and Sister Act? Question number 4. What was Mickey Mouse's original name? So when Walt Disney first wrote the character, he didn't at first call him Mickey. What was Mickey Mouse's original name? Question number 5. Which film does this trio of characters appear in? Ed, Shenzi and Banzai. Which film does this trio of characters appear in? Ed, Shenzi and Banzai. Question number 6, and you'll be singing this one in your head. According to the trolls, who only likes to tinkle in the woods? According to the trolls, who only likes to tinkle in the woods? Question number 7. Moving to Disney Pixar here. At the end of Toy Story, what is Andy's Christmas present? So at the end of Toy Story, what is Andy's Christmas present? That is, of course, Toy Story 1. Question number 8. Still with Disney Pixar. What is the name of the racing championship in Cars? Question number 8. What is the name of the racing championship in Cars? So going back old school now. Question number 9. In Alice in Wonderland, what is special about the Cheshire Cat? It was going to be a challenge for our summer production, that's certainly true. In question number 9, what is special about the Cheshire Cat? And finally, for question number 10, what instrument does Louis the alligator play in The Princess and the Frog? What instrument does Louis the alligator play in The Princess and the Frog? Okay, and that brings us to the end of the Disney round. Well, if you didn't get that last one, at least you can have a guess, can't you? Couple of comments. Ben Pittman, sorry to break it to you, that is not Dr. P's phone number. Anyone who says it is fibbing. Hollywood, I hope the Disney round was everything you've ever dreamed of. I'm sure you've got 10 out of 10. Let us know if you do, though. So, round 3. Now, the questions for round 3 are all relating to the world around us. So, here in Bournemouth, Dorset, and further afield. And they've been created by Mr. Mulcahy and Mr. Villa-Jones, but they're both very shy and retiring, and neither of them wanted to appear on screen before you this evening, especially not with their lockdown haircuts. So over to Miss Coy, who is going to ask you the questions for round 3.
The world around us. Okay, so next following 10 questions is about the world around us. Okay, so question number 1. In 2018, how many tourists visited Bournemouth for a day trip or staying trip? That's to the nearest million. In 2018, how many tourists visited Bournemouth for a day trip or staying trip? To the nearest million. Question 2. Bournemouth was the first place in the UK to have purpose-built beach huts, but what year were they built? Question number 2. Bournemouth was the first place in the UK to have purpose-built beach huts, but what year were they built? Question number 3. What is the highest temperature recorded in Bournemouth? To the nearest degree. Question number 3. What is the highest temperature recorded in Bournemouth? To the nearest degree. Question number 4. What was the first ever natural site to make the UNESCO World Heritage List? Question number 4. What was the first ever natural site to make the UNESCO World Heritage List? Question number 5. In 1826, a shop was set up by Mary Annings in Lyme Regis. It was the first of its kind in the UK. What did that shop sell? Question 5. In 1826, a shop was set up by Mary Annings in Lyme Regis. It was the first of its kind in the UK. What did that shop sell? Question 6. Which King of England locked up his niece Eleanor of Brittany in Corfe Castle as she was the heir to the throne? Question 6. Which King of England locked up his niece Eleanor of Brittany in Corfe Castle as she was the heir to the throne? Question 7. Which band between August 1963 and October 1964 played more live gigs in Bournemouth than anywhere else in the UK outside of London? Question 7. Which band between August 1963 and October 1964 played more live gigs in Bournemouth than anywhere else in the UK outside of London? Question 8. Which famous author is buried in St. Peter's Church, Bournemouth? Question 8. Which famous Dorset author is buried in St. Peter's Church, Bournemouth? Question 9. What was the UK's first ever air show held? Question 9. Where was the UK's first ever air show held? Where could that have possibly been? Okay, so our final question of the round, question 10. Brittany ferries run a daily crossing from Poole to Cherbourg in France. But how far is this journey to the nearest 5 miles? Question 10. Brittany ferries run a daily crossing from Poole to Cherbourg in France. But how far is this journey to the nearest 5 miles? Okay, pens down. It's the end of this round.
Thank you very much, Miss Coy. Great news. We are now nearly a third of our way to our targets. That's fantastic. Thank you so much to all the people who've donated. If you haven't yet, there is, of course, still plenty of time. Information about donating to Dorset Mind is here. It's in the description under the YouTube video. And if you go to Just Giving and pop in BCS to the search bar, our tonight's event is the first thing that comes up. So it's really easy for you. You don't have to sign up to Just Giving. You can put your details in as a guest, and there are various ways to pay through the site. We were asked a question about the beach huts and whether it had to be the exact year. This is quite tricky, so we'll give it to you within the 5-year period. Okay, so for example, if it was now, it would be between 2015 and 2020. So we'll give it to you within the 5-year period. That's not the answer. Sorry if I haven't given anything away there. Okay, so now we're on to the baby photos round, and I have to say, those of you who are watching from prep school have a little bit of an advantage here, because there are quite a lot of prep school staff represented, but a lot of them have been out for a very long time, so you might recognise them. And anyway, you can have a good old guess if you're not quite sure. So back to Miss Coy, who is going to take us through the baby photos round.
Hello everyone and welcome to Guess the Staff Member round. So what's coming up is a load of baby photos, and from those baby photos you need to guess who the staff member is. So first one coming up, who is this? Okay, who may have brunette hair, very lovely cuts, wearing a very lovely pink dress. Who could this be? Just give you a couple of seconds just to have a think and discuss and write it down. Who do you think this may be? A little bit of a clue. People at senior site, you definitely know who this is. Okay, next one. And who do you think this may be? Now you can clearly see from the middle photo a very sporty gentleman. Who could that possibly be? Very curly hair. I wonder who that could be. Okay, next one. This is number 3. Who may this be? A very strapping young lad. Who could this possibly be? This may be a bit harder for the senior. Maybe some of you year 7 and 8 may possibly remember. He does work at the prep site. Who could this be? Okay, on to the fourth one. Now, who's this? Who wears glasses? This is another one of the senior members that works at the senior site. Okay, next one coming up. Who is this? I'm sure I've seen this face before. I wonder who this could be. Who smiles just as much as that girl there? Okay, next one. Who is this? Now, this is a very popular lady at the prep site. You may have seen her in some of the school musicals. There's a huge clue in what she does. It's definitely female. And does work at the prep site. But a lot of senior students may have seen her work in the musical. Okay, next one is, who's this smiley little chappy? This may be a bit difficult. I think it looks exactly like him. And he does work at the senior sites. Who could that possibly be? He's got dinosaurs on the top. That might be a bit of a clue. Possibly. I know he's into his characters. His co-curricular club may give it away. Okay, next one. Who's this? This is definitely someone you'll know at the prep site. Very dashing young lady. Who could that possibly be? Okay, just last couple of seconds. Now, who's this? I, for sure, can see the resemblance in this person. This lady has worked at both the prep and senior site, so a lot of you would know her. Little bit of clue, she loves to surf. Okay, and I think this is our last one, number 10. Now, this is a man who will be seen on both sites. Very cute little boy. Who may that be? A clue. He's a bit more behind the scenes, but he goes everywhere on each site. Okay, some of those 10 questions may be really hard, some may be easy. Okay, so write all your answers down and we will be back shortly with the answers.
Wonder why Mr. HP in the comments has made that had to be a great round. Hint, hint. They were tricky, weren't there? One or two of you haven't changed a bit, and we knew from a glance. The rest of them, though, it'd be interesting to see how well you do on that one. We are going to take a short break now, just to give you a chance to stretch your legs, get another drink, etc., just for a couple of minutes, and then we're going to go through the answers to rounds 1 to 4 before we go on to the second half of the quiz. See you in a minute. So I hope you debated all those questions you hadn't quite got the answers for, and you're ready to go to mark your sheets. So yeah, I'm afraid I probably should have mentioned at the beginning there's no actual prize for this quiz. You just will have the knowledge that you know a lot of things. I'm actually finding this quiz really quite tricky. Don't blame me, other than the Disney round. Blame the people who made the tricky questions up. I'm sure some of you, though, are feeling very smug and intelligent right now. Let's see, should we see if that continues? Now for the answers. Okay, so let's go back to Dr. Pumphrey for the answers to the science and nature round.
And here are the answers to the science and nature round. Question 1. In question 1, we asked you what the term dinosaur means. And the answer is literally terrible lizard. And I think you need both the words in the correct sequence to get the point. Sorry, folks. Question number 2. We asked which was the chemical element that was most abundant in the universe. And the answer is hydrogen. Question 3. We asked who was the person credited with the discovery of electricity in 1752. And this was Benjamin Franklin, who nearly died in an experiment with his kite when he had an electric shock from a storm cloud. Question 4. In question 4 we asked, do stalactites come from the ceiling or are they on the floor? And you'd expect stalactites to be on the ceiling. Stalactites are on the ceiling. Question 5. In question 5 we asked what was unique about the male seahorse. The male seahorse is the only male in the animal kingdom that carries the live and gives birth to live seahorses. So it's the only male that can become pregnant in the adult kingdom. Question 6. We asked who invented dynamite, and this was Alfred Nobel, whose name famously is used in the Nobel Prize. So it was Alfred Nobel. Question number 7. We gave you a sequence in question 7 and asked you to complete the next one in the sequence. The answer is 5. This is actually called the Fibonacci sequence, and the way it works is the number is the sum of the previous two numbers. So 0 and 1 sum to 1, and so the next number after 0 and 1 is 1. Then you have 1 and 1 summing to 2, 2 and 3 summing to 5, which is the correct answer. Question 8. In question 8 we asked you what is tribology the study of, and it's lubrication, friction and wear. Any of those will do, but basically it is the study of how surfaces interact when they're sliding past each other. Question 9. Who famously said God does not play dice with the universe? This was Albert Einstein, in response to a question made for him in which he didn't particularly enjoy. So he believed very much that the universe worked to order. It wasn't a random system. So dice are random. Albert Einstein didn't believe that the universe worked on the basis of randomness. And question 10, how many bones are there in the adult skeleton? There's some debate about this, but generally speaking, the number is accepted of 206. And I think we'd probably allow 2 either side, so 200, anywhere between 204 and 208 would get you the mark. So total up your marks, see how you did, and I hope you all did very well.
How did you do? Let us know in the comments box. Did anyone get 10 out of 10? Dr. Pumphrey, I hope you got 10 out of 10. But anybody else get 10 out of 10? Let us know how you did. To be frank, I think if I'd got half of the marks there, I'd have been quite proud of myself. But I did have someone in my household telling me about the terrible lizard at the time. So maybe it would have been better as a team effort. We're doing really well on donations. We're now up to £115. So thank you for the 3 people who've recently donated. If you haven't yet had a chance to do so, please go to Just Giving and search for BCS and spare us a £5 if you can. And again, the information is just here at the bottom of the screen, and the link is also in just underneath the video in the description for tonight's event on YouTube. Every pound really does make a difference. Please don't feel like you have to donate lots and lots of money. If you can spare £5, that would be amazing and would make a great difference to this fantastic charity, who we're going to tell you a little bit more about in just a moment. But before we do that, we're going to go over to back to me, in fact, for the answers to the Disney round. And now we come to the answers for the Disney round. Question number 1. The first full-length colour feature film was Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Apparently, the critics said it was not going to be a success. They could not see that anyone would sit there and watch a cartoon for an hour and a half. How wrong were they? Question number 2. Name the 3 Disney princesses whose names begin with M, as they are Mulan, Moana, and Merida. And to be a Disney princess, you have to be born royal, married royal, or perform an act of heroism. So those are the criteria. Question number 3. Which Disney composer also wrote the music for Little Shop of Horrors and Sister Act? That was Alan Menken, and he was responsible for the music for a lot of the big 90s and 2000s hits like Hunchback of Notre Dame and Aladdin and Beauty and the Beast. Number 4. What was Mickey Mouse's original name? So originally Walt Disney wanted to call Mickey Mouse Mortimer Mouse, but his wife convinced him that it was a bit of a mouthful and he needed to go with something a bit more approachable. Question number 5. Which film does the trio Ed, Shenzi and Banzai appear in? That would be in The Lion King. They are the hyena trio in The Lion King. That's only in The Lion King cartoon. So if you've put live action, I'm sorry, you're wrong, but just Lion King by itself is fine. Question number 6. According to the trolls, who only likes to tinkle in the woods? That, of course, is Kristoff in Frozen. That's a line from He's a Bit of a Fixer-Upper. Yeah, you're all singing it now, aren't you? Question number 7. At the end of Toy Story, what is Andy's Christmas present? At the end of Toy Story, Andy gets a puppy for Christmas. Question number 8. What is the name of the racing championship in cars? It is appropriately called the Piston Cup. Question number 9. In Alice in Wonderland, what is special about the Cheshire Cat? This is a real challenge for our production, which will now be postponed to next year, because the Cheshire Cat disappears. And question 10. What instrument does Louis the alligator play in The Princess and the Frog? Well, that movie is set in New Orleans, and Louis the alligator appropriately plays the saxophone, and New Orleans is famous for its jazz. And that's the end of the Disney round. So total up out of 10 and add it to your other scores. Louis the alligator lives in New Orleans. Of course it was a saxophone. So moving on swiftly to round 3. But before we do that, the people to beat on Science and Nature were the Burwells, coming top with 8 out of 10. Unless you got more than 8 out of 10. Come on, let us know. Did anyone get 8 out of 10 or more on Disney? We're waiting for the comments to come in now, seeing how they did. But for me, certainly, that would have been a better round. Let's see how you do when we come back from round 3. So over to Miss Coy for the answers to the world around us.
Okay, answers for the first round, the world around us. So, answer to question 1. In 2018, how many tourists visited Bournemouth for a day trip or staying trip? And that was to the nearest million is 7 million. Okay, 7 million tourists. Number 2, Bournemouth was the first place in the UK to have purpose-built beach huts, but what year was that they built in? And the answer is 1909. Okay, 1909. Question number 3, what is the highest temperature recorded in Bournemouth? And that's to the nearest degree, and that's 33.9 degrees Celsius. Okay. Number 4, what was the first ever natural site to make the UNESCO World Heritage List? And that was Jurassic Coast. Okay, so the answer to question 4 is Jurassic Coast. Number 5, in 1826, a shop was set up by Mary Annings in Lyme Regis. It was the first of its kind in the UK. What did the shop sell? And that was fossils. So answer to question 5 is fossils. Question number 6. Which King of England locked up his niece Eleanor of Brittany in Cork Castle as she was the heir to the throne? And the answer is King John. Okay, answer to question 6. King John. Question number 7. Which band between August 1963 and October 1964 played more live gigs in Bournemouth than anywhere else in the UK outside of London? And that is the legendary Beatles. So the answer to question 7, the Beatles. Question number 8. Which famous author is buried at St. Peter's Church, Bournemouth? And that is Mary Shelley. She did in fact write Frankenstein. So the answer to question 8, Mary Shelley. Question number 9. Where was the UK's first ever air show held? And that was actually in Hainsbury Head, Christchurch, down the road from us. Hainsbury Head is the answer to question 9. Question 10. Britain Ferry runs a daily crossing from Poole to Cherbourg in France, but how far is this journey to the nearest 5 miles? And that's 85/90 miles. We'll accept either. The actual answer is 87.1. So answer question 10 is 85 to 90 miles. I wonder how many you have got correct. Hopefully it's a 10 out of 10.
Thank you very much, Miss Coy. So see how you all did and let us know on that round. I have to say there was a mistake in the Disney round, which was all me. I'm so very sorry. My Disney expert has fact-checked that. And so, Mr. Wood, who got 8 out of 10, and Chloe got 9 out of 10, you may actually have an extra mark because the instrument that Louis plays is not a saxophone. It's still a jazz instrument. It's a trumpet. So I'm very, very sorry. If you put saxophone, it's fine. You can keep it. But technically the answer is trumpet. So we'll wait with bated breath to see if that meant Chloe got 10 out of 10 or not. It probably should, shouldn't it? Moving on then, we've had the lovely Miss Coy give us the answers to the world around us. But now in a moment she's going to give us the answers to the baby photo round. Can I just remind you that if you haven't yet donated, there is still plenty of chance, and it would be so lovely to hit our £300 target this evening. So the links are there. You know what you do. It would be great. Just even £2 would make a great difference, but 5 would be fabulous. Back to Miss Coy then, but I know you're dying to know, who are these little cuties?
Okay, so this is the answers for guess the staff member round. So answer number 1 is Mrs. Davies from the senior site. Question number 2 is Mr. HP, so Mr. Harrison Paul from the senior site. Question number 3 is Mr. McCulley. From the answer to question number 4 is Mr. Miller-Jones. The answer to this one is in fact me, Miss Coy. The answer to this is Mrs. HP, so Mrs. Harrison Paul from the prep site. This is Mr. Kirk, English teacher at the senior site. This one is Mrs. Smith from the prep site. The answer to question 9 is Mrs. Lee. And finally, question number 10 is our very own site manager, Neil. I wonder how many of you got 10 out of 10.
How did you do? I was pretty sure on Mrs. Davies, on Miss Smith, and of course on Mr. Bauer, because who could not, looking at that cheeky grin. Also Mr. McCulley from prep school, I thought that was probably you too. But the rest of them, really, really tricky. Except who could not mistake Mr. HP with those lovely little curls? I understand the curls are back, so you can watch out for those. And being featured in an event near you sometime soon, I'm sure. Possibly at Sports Day next week. Moving on then, we are going to pause our quiz slightly there, and we're going to go and just have a little bit of a more in-depth at what Dorset Mind does. We're going to bring you a video from a young man who's personally experienced the support of Dorset Mind in a difficult time in his life, but a really understandable situation that many of us could see ourselves experiencing in a similar way. And he's going to talk to you about how they helped him and now how he's decided to help them.
My name is Toby Keneally. I work for Bournemouth Rugby Club, and I also work for Dorset Mind as a mental health ambassador. I arrived in 2015 at Bournemouth and started playing for them, and soon became into their senior side, first 15, and did really well in that first season. I managed to get my shirt and keep my shirt all season long. But unfortunately, at the start of the next season, after being made vice captain, in the first game, first 10 minutes, I broke my leg quite badly, which was devastating. Really, really knocked me for 6. My rehab lasted 5 months because I absolutely smashed it. I was in the gym twice a day so I could get walking again. And I came back in January after a wee holiday in New Zealand, and ready to hit the season. And unfortunately, my first game back, I tore my ACL in my right knee, and that's where I am now, still in rehabilitation a year later after that first leg break. You suddenly have an injury and you go from you lose all your independence immediately. I lost, I couldn't work, lost financially bankrupt, relationship ends, and you go from being one injury to suddenly having these knock-on effects, and your life's completely changed, and you think you've got it all sewn up, and it just made it so apparent to me that everyone's only a couple of paychecks away from being sort of destitute, and your mental health is only on a little shoestring when you think about it that way, because the big 3, money, job, relationship, they without you knowing it, they're in the back of your mind all the time, and if one of those things goes wrong, you can have a bad day. If 2 of them goes wrong, you have a really bad day. If they all go wrong, well, your life's upside down. So I went from being independent to being injured again to being on my bones. But the club sort of came to my rescue again, and they took my volunteer job role into a paid job role, working with my CEO and the other communications team to help support funds for the club and to try and turn our club from an amateur club into a professional club. It's amazing how these little circles come round, that I was injured, I went down, but now I'm coming back around into sport management, which will hopefully take me through a brand new career and bounce through. So again, another little lesson that hopefully we can teach people, that even though you go down, you get to come back up again. Talking about mental health and trying to express how you're feeling and trying to get someone else to express how they're feeling is a tough one. And that's still something that I think as a society we're still trying to break into and to try and crack open. So personally, I see it as quite a bit of a challenge. I'm willing to talk about things and for people to hear my story, to help others that maybe don't want to talk about theirs so much. And for some reason, especially rugby players, we don't talk a lot. We don't talk about feelings or about emotions. We're supposed to be big tough men who run around and bleed everywhere. But at the end of the day, we're human and we need to talk, and that's a really, really important thing to remember.
Personally, I think that's a really inspiring story, and a great example of that idea of giving back once someone has helped you. We are inching up towards our target, so thank you again to the people who just donated. Please keep donating. It's really easy to do. You don't have to sign up to Just Giving. You can do it as a guest, and there are plenty of ways, including credit cards or PayPal and various other ways of donating on the site. So you should now have a score out of 40. So do let us know how you are doing before we go to the next round. The next round is a double round. So round 5 has 10 questions on film and 10 questions on literature, both coming from Mr. Kirk. But they both presented by Mr. Kirk, but they have been compiled by the whole English department, and they are for all ages. So literature for all ages, films that would appeal to all ages. Some really nice straightforward ones in there, but some tricky ones for the real film and novel buffs amongst you. So have we got any? I'm just waiting to see if anyone's coming with some totals yet. We know there's no one with 40 out of 40. Has anyone got 30? 30 and up. Anyone? Let's see. No? Well, I'll come back to you after this round and see if you can let me know who are the team to beat at the moment at this halfway point. So over now to Mr. Kirk for film and literature.
Welcome to the film and fiction section of the quiz. There are 2 rounds coming up, 10 questions on film and 10 questions on literature. Number 1. Who composed the famous Mission Impossible theme? Was it A, John Williams, B, Lalo Schifrin, or C, Henry Mancini? Number 1. Who composed the famous Mission Impossible theme? Was it A, John Williams, B, Lalo Schifrin, or C, Henry Mancini? Number 2. 2 actors jointly hold the record for the longest time playing a superhero character. Name either of those actors. Number 2. 2 actors jointly hold the record for the longest time playing a superhero character. Name either of those actors. Number 3. What is the highest grossing film of all time at the box office? Number 3. What is the highest grossing film of all time at the box office? Number 4. Which famous Star Wars actor made a brief appearance in the Vietnam War film Apocalypse Now? Number 4. Which famous Star Wars actor made a brief appearance in the Vietnam War film Apocalypse Now? Number 5. Which famous literary character has been adapted the most times for screen? Number 5. Which famous literary character has been adapted the most times for screen? Number 6. Which actor led the Goonies to One-Eyed Willie's treasure, then helped Frodo destroy the ring in the Lord of the Rings trilogy? Number 6. Which actor led the Goonies to One-Eyed Willie's treasure, then helped Frodo destroy the ring in the Lord of the Rings trilogy? Number 7. Who replaced Richard Harris as Dumbledore in the Harry Potter films? Number 7. Who replaced Richard Harris as Dumbledore in the Harry Potter films? Number 8. In Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, the nightclub in the opening sequence is named after which Star Wars character? Number 8. In Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, the nightclub in the opening sequence is named after which Star Wars character? Number 9. Which early Madonna track are the bank robbers discussing at the start of Reservoir Dogs? Number 9. Which early Madonna track are the bank robbers discussing at the start of Reservoir Dogs? And number 10. Who became the first woman to win a Best Director Oscar in 2010? And number 10. Who became the first woman to win a Best Director Oscar in 2010? Now on to your literature round. Number 1. What is the novel Frankenstein's alternative name? Number 1. What is the novel Frankenstein's alternative name? Number 2. What is the name of Harper Lee's 2015 follow-up to Kill a Mockingbird? Number 2. What is the name of Harper Lee's 2015 follow-up to Kill a Mockingbird? Number 3, and I apologise for this one. 50 Shades of Grey was originally fan fiction based on which series of supernatural novels? Number 3, and I apologise for this one. 50 Shades of Grey was originally fan fiction based on which series of supernatural novels? Number 4, better class this time. Who wrote The Picture of Dorian Gray? Number 4, better class this time. Who wrote The Picture of Dorian Gray? Number 5. Which Louis Sachar novel is set at Camp Green Lake? Number 5. Which Louis Sachar novel is set at Camp Green Lake? Number 6. Which Mallory Blackman novel was recently adapted for television by the BBC? Number 6. Which Mallory Blackman novel was recently adapted for television by the BBC? Number 7. What is the name of the young detective in Philip Pullman's The Ruby in the Smoke? Number 7. What is the name of the young detective in Philip Pullman's The Ruby in the Smoke? Number 8. Oggy wants to be treated like everyone else in which R.J. Palacio novel? Number 8. Oggy wants to be treated like everyone else in which R.J. Palacio novel? Number 9. What is the name of the author of the Vampire Chronicles series which opened with Interview with the Vampire? Number 9. What is the name of the author of the Vampire Chronicles series which opened with Interview with the Vampire? And number 10. Name all 4 sisters from Louisa May Alcott's Little Women. And number 10. Name all 4 sisters from Louisa May Alcott's Little Women.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kirk. I am told that he was volunteered by the rest of his department for that, but didn't he rise to the occasion? Certain, je ne sais quoi, sartorial elegance that he's brought to this evening, definitely. Moving on then, we have some totals in, but that could all have changed with the last round. From the comments posted in the box, I think the Fran and her family are ahead. So they're the ones to beat currently. But will those 20 questions that we've just been through, will it turn it all around? Certainly the break has turned the fundraising around. We're now up to £165. So thank you so much to the people who have donated in the break. If you haven't yet done so, don't worry, there's still plenty of time. And you can, of course, go on donating after the quiz tonight to help us hit our target of £300. We are now at our final round, sport and leisure, and that is brought to us by Mr. and Mrs. Coulter.
Good evening, and this is the sport and leisure round. So, question number 1. Who has won more Grand Slam titles? Serena Williams or Roger Federer? Who has won more Grand Slam tennis titles? Serena Williams or Roger Federer?
Good starting question.
Would it be on now? Wimbledon? Would no.
Yeah, not far off. Number 2. In which sport do competitors refer to catching a crab? In which sport do competitors refer to catching a crab?
Question 3. At which Olympics did Kelly Holmes win 2 gold medals? At which Olympics did Kelly Holmes win 2 gold medals?
Number 4. When England won the 2003 Rugby World Cup final, how many points did they score?
Did England win?
Yes, they did. Yes. The final, the World Cup. I'll repeat that. When England won the 2003 Rugby World Cup final, how many points did they score in that final match? Not in total, in the final.
Question 5. Did Team GB win more medals in total at London 2012 or Rio 2016? Did Team GB win more medals in total at London 2012 or Rio 2016?
Number 6. How many points did Bournemouth have in the Premier League before this season was postponed? How many points did Bournemouth have in the Premier League this season before football was postponed?
Question 7. Who won the BBC Sports Personality of the Year 2019?
I know this one.
You wrote these questions.
I wrote the questions.
Who won the BBC Sports Personality of the Year 2019?
Number 8. Name one of the 3 female characters in the game of Cluedo. Name one of the 3 female characters in the game of Cluedo.
Question 9. What is the value of K in Scrabble? What is the value of K in Scrabble?
And finally, number 10. What numbers are either side of the 20 on a dartboard? What numbers are either side of the 20 on a dartboard? That was number 10.
Good luck.
And that was our final round this evening. So get adding up. You should have a score out of 70 and let us know how you've done. Whilst Oh, yeah, sorry, they need the answers. That's a really good point. So what I was going to say is we should now have a few more scores in out of 40. You do need the answers. That was our final round of questions. So we've got any more scores in out of 40? Anyone yet beat Fran's 26? Oh, you're being very modest this evening, apparently. You're not wanting to share. So I think from that we can assume, Fran, that you are still comfortably in the lead. But let's see, it could all change with these last 3 rounds. So we will go straight away then back to Mr. Kirk for the answers to film and literature.
And now the answers. First, our film questions. Number 1. Who composed the famous Mission Impossible theme? The answer was B. Lalo Schifrin. Number 2. 2 actors jointly hold the record for the longest time playing a superhero character. They are Hugh Jackman, who played Wolverine, and Patrick Stewart, who played Professor X in the X-Men movies. Number 3. What is the highest grossing film of all time at the box office? Avengers Endgame. Number 4. Which famous Star Wars actor also made a brief appearance in the Vietnam War film Apocalypse Now? The answer is Harrison Ford. Number 5. Which famous literary character has been adapted the most times for screen? Sherlock Holmes. Number 6. Which actor led the Goonies to One-Eyed Willie's treasure, then helped Frodo destroy the ring in the Lord of the Rings trilogy? That's Sean Astin. Number 7. Who replaced Richard Harris as Dumbledore in the Harry Potter films? Sir Michael Gambon. Number 8. In Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, the nightclub in the opening sequence is named after which Star Wars character? Obi-Wan Kenobi. Number 9. Which early Madonna track are the bank robbers discussing at the start of Reservoir Dogs? The track is Like a Virgin. And number 10. Who became the first woman to win a Best Director Oscar in 2010? The answer is Catherine Bigelow. Now on to our literature questions. Number 1. What is the novel Frankenstein's alternative name? The Modern Prometheus. Number 2. What is the name of Harper Lee's 2015 follow-up to To Kill a Mockingbird? Go Set a Watchman. Number 3. 50 Shades of Grey was originally fan fiction based on which series of supernatural novels? They were the Twilight novels. Number 4. Who wrote The Picture of Dorian Gray? Oscar Wilde. Number 5. Which Louis Sachar novel is set at Camp Green Lake? Holes. Number 6. Which Mallory Blackman novel was recently adapted for television by the BBC? That's Noughts and Crosses. Number 7. What is the name of the young detective in Philip Pullman's The Ruby in the Smoke? Sally Lockhart. Number 8. Oggy wants to be treated like everyone else in which R.J. Palacio novel? That's Wonder. Number 9. What is the name of the author of the Vampire Chronicles series which opened with Interview with the Vampire? Anne Rice. And finally, Name all 4 sisters from Louisa May Alcott's Little Women. They are Meg, Jo, Beth and Amy. Thank you for playing.
So we've now got up to 20 more points to add to your totals. Let's see who's coming out on top now. Still at £165 on our money raised this evening. I know that there were some people who weren't able to attend tonight, and we're going to leave the quiz up there. So the recording will be there. You can go to YouTube at any point. Why not invite your friends to challenge you and challenge them against your score, see what they get, and get them donating at the same time. So please do share the event around. People can still do it at a later time, and encourage them to donate to this fantastic charity that the school is currently supporting. So our final round now, to see if there's any updates on scores, from my moderating team. Nothing coming in at the moment. I'm sure you'll be able to see them in the comment box. Have you beaten them? Moving on then to the last 10 questions. How did you do on sports and leisure?
Hello, we're back. We have the answers for you for the sports and leisure round. Mrs. Coulter, number 1.
So Serena Williams has won more Grand Slam tennis titles than Roger Federer. How many has she won?
She has won 23 to his 20.
No extra points for that. No.
Number 2. In which sport do competitors refer to catching a crab, Mr. Slapford? Yes, it's rowing.
Question 3. At which Olympics did Kelly Holmes win the 2 gold medals? It was in Athens in 2004.
And do you know what events they were, Mrs. Coulter?
No, do tell.
It was the 800 metres and the 1500 metres. When England, question number 4 this is, when England won the 2003 Rugby World Cup final, England against Australia, in the final, how many points did they score? They scored 20 points to Australia's 17. 20 points.
And they won.
And they won the World Cup. Mr. Mulcahy, Mr. Pumphrey, Mr. Miller-Jones. Okay.
Question 5. Did Team GB win more medals at London or Rio? And the correct answer was at Rio, where they won...
I think it was 67 medals in total.
And in London?
I think it was 65.
Close?
That was close. Number 6. How many points did Bournemouth have in the Premier League before this season was postponed? They had 27 points.
Let's hope they get some more.
Let's hope they get some more.
Question 7. BBC Sports Personality of the Year 2019 was Ben Stokes.
What sport does he play?
Cricket.
Good. Number 8. Name one of the 3 female characters in the game of Cluedo. You can have either Mrs. White, or Miss Scarlet, or Miss Peacock. Just one of them. That's all you need for 1 point.
Question 9. What is the value of K in Scrabble? It was 5 points. Not pints, as is written down here. Points.
Sorry. And finally, number 10. The numbers either side of the 20 on a dartboard were, or still are, 5 and 1.
Hope you got all those points, and good luck with the rest of your questions.
See you all soon.
So here we are at the end of our BCS Community Quiz. Please do add up your total and pop them in the comments box so we can see who won this evening. And please keep sharing the quiz so that more people can enjoy it and more people can donate to the fabulous Dorset Mind who do such great work in our community. The money we've raised tonight will definitely go to supporting people just like us who just need a little bit of extra something to keep them going at this time. I hope you've all had a lovely time this evening. It is really nice to do things together as a school community. And of course, our next event is Sports Day on Thursday morning, where there will be a whole range of events sent out for you to enjoy in what would have been our normal Sports Day slot at Kings Park. So we hope to see lots of fantastic photos coming through to the school so we can enjoy your successes with you, and of course raise points for your houses to see who's won this year's house championship. But let's see, have we got scores coming through? I know that Andrew JB had a very impressive score before that round, but has he maintained that? Who have we got? Anything coming through? You're running a bit behind me, I think, so nothing as yet. I think the I think some of the staff taking part possibly had a slight advantage. I mean, if you've written a round, we would expect you to get 10 out of 10 on that round. Apart from, of course, me, because I got one of my own answers wrong. I'm sure that nobody else has done that, though. So we were waiting with bated breath to see who is going to come out on top.
63 out of 70.
63 out of 70 for Andrew JB and presumably family. But if it's just you, Andrew, then that equally would be even more amazing. 63. Can anyone beat 63 out of 70? Because that is a really, really impressive total. I'd be very surprised. You can, I think there's a virtual prize winging its way to you, possibly. Small. I can't read that, it's too small. We've got 37 coming through. Oh no, that was before. That was 37 for Chloe and for Fran. That was prior to the final round, so that could go up significantly. Mr. Pittman, they're on 39 out of 70 in the Pittman household. Not bad. Anything over 50%. It's a tough quiz. We've done a lot of quizzes during lockdown, and I have to say, I think this is one of the hardest ones, definitely. We'll see a certain level of intelligence in our BCS community, of course, especially when it comes to all things Disney, obviously. Have we got any more answers in? Are we going to give it to Andrew as being the top scorer on today's quiz?
And Ollie managed to get 83 out of 70.
So we've got an amazing score come through for Ollie on 83. Quite how you've managed that on a quiz that was marked out of 70, I'm not sure, but I'm sure that you know how you got there. Remember, the only person, if you're cheating, the only person you're lying to is yourself. So I think we'll give that to Andrew then on 63 out of 70. And it's been a fantastic evening. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for the money that we've raised for Dorset Mind, which will be really gratefully received and do a lot towards their work in our community. So we'll leave it there because my pizza is pending. Clearly that's why I was forgetting myself earlier. Can't stop myself thinking about dinner. My pizza is pending and I want to eat it. So have a lovely evening, everybody. And of course, stay safe. See you all again soon.